This is my best PS5 cozy games tier list, ranked purely on my personal experience. Each game is placed from masterpiece down to trash, based on how relaxing, charming, and comforting the overall experience felt while playing. Let's get straight into the list. Disney Dreamlight Valley is one of those cozy games I can turn on and just relax with for hours. I like running around the village, unlocking new Disney characters, and slowly building friendships with them. That's easily the best part of the game for me. The characters feel fun and familiar, and they make even simple fetch quests feel worth doing, but it's not perfect. The grind can get heavy, especially in the newer area, and some tasks start to feel repetitive. I've also run into a few bugs here and there. Decorating and crafting are pretty basic compared to other life sims. Even with those issues, I still find myself coming back to it, so this one lands in my good tier. Stray completely surprised me. I went in expecting a big open cat simulator, but what I got instead was a focused puzzle platformer set in a quiet, neon-lit robot city. You can still meow, knock things over, and curl up for a nap, but the movement is more controlled than I first thought. Once I adjusted to that, I started to really appreciate the world. The city feels beautiful and lonely at the same time, and exploring it as a small cat makes everything feel different. The puzzles are simple but satisfying, and the story builds toward an ending that honestly stayed with me long after it was over. It's short, around 6 hours, but it feels meaningful from start, and this one easily earns its place in the excellent tier. Unpacking is one of the most relaxing games I've played on PS5. The whole idea is simple. You open boxes and place items in different rooms, but it slowly becomes something much deeper. There's no dialogue, no big cutscenes, and you never even see the main character. You learn about their life just by the things they choose to keep and carry from one home to another. I love how calm everything feels. The music is soft, the sound effects are satisfying, and there's no timer pushing you. It's a short game, but every move feels meaningful, especially when you notice small changes in the character's life over the years. It's simple, emotional, and surprisingly powerful, and it easily belongs in the excellent tier. Cult of the Lamb looks cute on the outside, but it's actually a mix of roguelike combat and full-on cult management. I spend part of my time going on short dungeon runs, fighting enemies and bosses, and the other half building and managing my little cult base. I have to keep my followers fed, clean up after them, build new structures, and decide how I want to lead them. That management side is honestly what kept me hooked the most. The combat is fun and responsive, but the runs are short and not super deep, so I didn't feel like replaying it much after finishing the story. Still, the art style, music, and weird dark humor make it stand out in a big way, and that's why it sits comfortably in my great tier. 2 Point Campus is all about building and managing my own university, and that management side is where it really shines. I spend most of my time planning lecture halls, setting up dorms, balancing the budget, and trying to keep students happy. Fitting everything into the right space can feel like solving a puzzle, especially early on, but once the campus grows bigger, it becomes much more satisfying. I like unlocking new courses and slowly turning a small, messy school into a successful one. The humor and art style are a bit hit or miss for me, and sometimes the menus make it hard to quickly find the information I need. But when everything starts running smoothly and the campus feels alive, it's very rewarding, and that's why it earns a spot in my great tier. My time at Sandrock is one of those cozy games I just didn't want to leave. I come into this desert town as a builder, and slowly I help it grow by crafting machines, taking commissions, and building relationships with the people who live there. The workshop loop is really satisfying. I gather resources, upgrade my tools, and make bigger and better projects over time. What really stands out is the town itself. The characters feel lively, the side quests are meaningful, and even small daily tasks feel connected to the bigger story. Combat and dungeons are pretty simple, and there are a few technical issues here and there, but the charm easily makes up for it. It's packed with content, full of heart, and it comfortably earns its place in the excellent tier. Chicory: A Colorful Tale is a very personal, cozy game experience. The whole world begins in black and white, and I use a magic paintbrush to bring color back while solving simple puzzles. There's no combat, and the painting mechanic drives everything. I can draw, fill, and decorate almost any surface, and the world reacts to what I create, which makes exploration feel relaxing and creative. What stayed with me most is the story. It talks about self-doubt, pressure, creativity, and mental health in a very honest and thoughtful way. It feels small and quiet, but also deeply meaningful. The music is beautiful, the puzzles are clever without being stressful, and the message feels real. This game clearly earns its place in the excellent tier. A short hike may be small, but it left a huge impression on me. I play as Claire, a young bird climbing a mountain to get phone reception, and that simple goal drives the whole experience. The island is not very big, but it feels alive. I can glide, climb, swim, fish, sail, and just wander without any pressure. Collecting golden feathers to increase stamina makes exploration feel rewarding, and reaching the summit feels genuinely special. The pixelated art style took a little time to adjust to, but the colors and music create such a calm atmosphere. There's humor, heart, and just enough side activities to keep things interesting without overwhelming me. It's short, simple, and full of charm, and it absolutely deserves its place in the masterpiece tier. Stardew Valley is the kind of game that slowly becomes a part of your life. I start with a small, messy farm and a few seeds, but over time it grows into something special. I can farm, fish, mine, fight monsters, build relationships, get married, and even raise animals. The freedom is what makes it powerful. I can focus on making money, restoring the community center, or just spending time talking to the people in town. The progression feels steady, and every season brings something new to work toward. It can feel grindy at first, but once everything clicks, it becomes hard to stop. The music, the pixel art, and the sense of community all come together in a way that feels timeless. This is not just a great cozy game, it earns its place as a masterpiece. Cozy Grove feels like a quiet daily ritual. I arrive on this island full of ghost bears, and each day I help them by finding items, crafting simple tools, and slowly bringing color back to the world. The black and white island turning colorful as I complete tasks is a really nice touch. The characters are charming, and I like learning little pieces of their stories over time. The gameplay loop is simple though. Most quests involve finding hidden objects or gathering materials, and it can feel repetitive after a while. There's also a daily limit, so I usually play for about 30 to 60 minutes and then I'm done. It's not very deep, but it's calm, beautiful, and easy to check into every day, which is why it lands in my good tier. House Flipper is one of those games that sounds satisfying on paper, but in practice it just feels boring. I take on small renovation jobs, clean up trash, install radiators, paint walls, and slowly earn enough money to buy broken houses and flip them for profit. The problem is that most of the tasks feel repetitive and mindless. I'm basically clicking the same actions over and over with very little creativity or direction. Even when I start buying houses, there isn't much depth to the renovation system. Buyers just appear with vague preferences, and I never feel like I'm building something meaningful. The menus are slow, the gameplay is basic, and there's very little challenge. It can be strangely addictive for short sessions, but overall, this one just didn't do it for me, so it lands in the trash tier. The Sims 4 is a life sim I keep returning to, even with its flaws. Creating a sim feels great because I can fully shape their look, personality, and even their walk style. The emotion system is the biggest strength. Sims don't just act based on traits anymore. They react based on how they feel, and that makes relationships and daily life feel more dynamic and believable. Build mode is smoother and easier to use than before, which makes designing houses genuinely fun. But the world feels small, with loading screens between areas and fewer places to explore. Some important features are missing from the base game and sit behind paid DLC, which holds it back. Even so, the stories that naturally unfold and the freedom to create any kind of life keep pulling me back in, which is why it lands in my great tier. Night in the Woods feels cute at first, but it quickly becomes something much deeper. I play as May, who drops out of college and moves back to her small hometown, and most of the game is just talking to friends, walking around town, and living day to day. The writing is the real strength. The conversations feel natural, funny, and sometimes painfully real. Each character has their own struggles, and the game doesn't shy away from topics like mental health, growing up, and feeling stuck in life. The small town setting also adds a lot, especially with its focus on economic decline and generational pressure. The mystery in the background is interesting, but it's the relationships that stayed with me. It's emotional, thoughtful, and surprisingly heavy in the best way, which is why it belongs in my excellent tier. Celeste is much more than a hard platformer. On the surface, I'm just climbing a mountain by jumping, dashing, and clinging to walls, but every movement feels tight and precise. The controls are simple, yet the skill ceiling is very high, and every death feels like my mistake, not the game's. Restarting is instant, so I'm always willing to try again. What makes it special is how the story blends with the gameplay. Madeline's climb becomes a metaphor for anxiety, self-doubt, and learning to face difficult parts of yourself. The soundtrack is incredible, shifting with the tension of each level, and the challenge keeps pushing me to improve. It's tough, emotional, and deeply satisfying, which is why it earns its place in my excellent tier. The Gardens Between is a quiet and emotional puzzle game about two friends moving through memories. There's no dialogue at all, and the story is told completely through visuals and small details in each level. I control time by moving it forward and backward, and that's how I solve every puzzle. I don't control the characters directly, which makes it feel calm and thoughtful instead of stressful. Watching how objects move through time and figuring out the right moment to interact with them is really satisfying. The music is soft and almost hypnotic, which adds to the relaxed mood. Some puzzles feel simple, and I do wish it was a bit longer, but the emotional payoff at the end really stuck with me. Because of that, it earns a solid place in my great tier. Alba, a Wildlife Adventure is a calm and heartfelt game about helping the environment in small, meaningful ways. I explore a Mediterranean island as Alba, taking photos of animals, cleaning up litter, and helping the local wildlife sanctuary. The gameplay is simple, mostly walking around, talking to people, and completing small tasks, but it feels purposeful. What I like most is how it handles its message. It talks about pollution and careless damage, but it doesn't feel preachy or angry. The town feels human, and the problems feel realistic. The music is warm and relaxing, and the bright, blocky art style makes the island feel inviting. It's not very long, but it leaves an impact, and that's why it earns its place in my great tier. A Memoir Blue is a very short, story-focused experience about a swimmer looking back on her relationship with her mother. The visuals are beautiful, mixing realistic backgrounds with hand-drawn animation, and the music is soft and emotional. It creates a strong mood right away. The problem is that it never fully connects. The gameplay is extremely simple. I mostly tap or move a stick to trigger the next scene, and there's barely any challenge or depth to the interactions. The story aims to be emotional, but because it leans so heavily into surreal imagery and metaphor, I sometimes felt detached instead of moved. It only lasts around 45 minutes, and by the end it feels more like a visual art piece than a fully developed game. It looks and sounds lovely, but overall it lands in my mediocre tier. Lego Builder's Journey is a simple but thoughtful puzzle game built around digital Lego bricks. Each level gives me a small isometric scene and a limited number of pieces, and my goal is to build a path to reunite two small Lego figures made of stacked bricks. The controls are easy, and the bricks behave just like real Lego, even down to the sound they make. The puzzles require some creativity, but they never feel unfair or frustrating. What surprised me most is the quiet, wordless story that unfolds through the levels. It feels emotional without using dialogue, just movement and small visual moments. The lighting, music, and realistic brick detail look great, though the fixed camera can be awkward at times. It's short and calm, but creative and meaningful enough to earn a spot in my great tier. Infinity Nikki surprised me with how big and colorful it feels. I run around an open world collecting materials, grooming cute animals, solving light puzzles, and unlocking beautiful outfits. The clothing is easily the best part. The detail in the dresses and accessories is impressive, and I genuinely enjoy mixing and matching styles. Exploration is fun too, because I'm constantly distracted by something new in the distance. That said, it still feels like a mobile gacha game at heart. There are too many currencies, too many menus, and the best outfits often push microtransactions. Even with those issues, I had a good time overall, so this one sits in my good tier. I Am Dead is a calm puzzle adventure where I play as the ghost of a museum owner exploring his island home. The main mechanic lets me slice through objects to look inside them and uncover memories, secrets, and hidden items. I really like the art style and the warm, gentle tone of the story. It talks about death, memory, and home in a thoughtful way. The problem is that the gameplay feels too simple. The puzzles are very easy, most objectives are clearly marked, and I rarely feel challenged. Even when I find optional riddles, they don't add much depth. It's charming and creative, but I kept wishing it pushed me a little more. Because of that, it lands in my mediocre tier. Untitled Goose game lets me play as a mischievous goose causing chaos in a quiet village, and it's way more fun than it sounds. I sneak around, steal items, set up little traps, and complete a checklist of ridiculous tasks like dragging a rake into a lake or tricking someone into getting wet. It feels almost like a light stealth game, but instead of fighting, I'm just being annoying in creative ways. The piano soundtrack kicks in at perfect moments, and the simple art style makes everything charming. It's short, and I honestly wanted more areas to explore, but every minute is packed with clever ideas and laughs. For me, it easily earns its spot in the excellent tier. Gorogoa is a puzzle game that feels completely different from anything else I've played. I move and stack illustrated panels, zoom into scenes, and line up images to create new connections, and every solution feels like I'm uncovering a secret hidden inside a painting. The hand-drawn art is beautiful, and the way time and space blend together makes even simple actions feel magical. There's no dialogue, but the story about faith, memory, and destruction slowly reveals itself through the images. It's short, and once I understand the puzzle logic, it becomes easier, but the atmosphere and creativity stay with me long after it ends. For me, Gorogoa belongs in the excellent tier. ABZû is a calm, underwater adventure where I swim freely and explore a beautiful ocean world. The movement feels smooth and relaxing, and within minutes I'm gliding through coral reefs, ancient ruins, and huge open spaces filled with fish and whales. The music is powerful and emotional, and it carries the experience from beginning to end. There isn't much challenge, and the puzzles are very simple, so it focuses more on atmosphere than deep gameplay. The story is told without words, and while it can feel unclear at times, the journey itself is peaceful and memorable. This one goes into the great tier. TOEM is a cozy photography adventure where I travel through small black and white towns with nothing but a camera and simple goals. I take pictures to help people, find lost items, spot animals, and solve light puzzles, and the charm comes from the characters and small stories hidden everywhere. There's no scoring system or pressure to take the perfect shot, which makes it feel relaxed and personal. The writing is funny, the world design feels like a living diorama, and even though it's short, it feels complete and carefully made. For this list, I'm placing it in the great tier. Donut County lets me control a growing hole in the ground, and the whole idea is as silly and fun as it sounds. I move around swallowing small things first, like rocks and donuts, then slowly work up to cars, buildings, and almost entire areas. The puzzles are simple, but that works because the real charm comes from the strange animal characters and the funny dialogue between Mira and BK. Each level feels relaxing, almost zen, as I clear everything away and watch the hole get bigger. It's short, and I definitely wanted more creative challenges by the end, but what's here is clever and full of personality. I'm putting this one in the good tier. Lake is supposed to be a calm, slow story about delivering mail in a small town, but it just didn't work at all. Driving around feels repetitive almost immediately, and the delivery tasks are extremely basic with no real challenge or depth. The story tries to focus on simple conversations and life choices, but the writing feels flat and the characters never became interesting. On top of that, the technical issues really hurt the experience, with awkward animations, rough visuals, and noticeable glitches that make everything feel unfinished. Even the relaxed vibe can't save it because there's just not enough substance to stay invested. This one goes straight into the trash tier. Behind the Frame, the Finest Scenery is a short, story-driven puzzle game about a painter preparing for her gallery show, and it really stands out because of its soft, hand-drawn art style. The studio clearly took inspiration from Studio Ghibli, and you can feel that calm, nostalgic mood in every scene. Most of the gameplay involves light puzzles like finding colors, solving small clues, and interacting with objects in the room, but nothing feels too difficult. The story slowly unfolds through quiet moments, music, and small details. And by the middle, I was genuinely curious about how everything connected. It's only a couple of hours long, but it leaves a thoughtful impression. This one earns a place in the good tier. That's my best PS5 cozy games tier list, based entirely on how each one actually felt to sit down and play. Some became comfort games I'll return to for years, while others simply didn't leave much of an impact, and that's what ultimately decided where they landed. Thanks for watching.